Can we? No. Can we? I want that. No. I want to buy this? No. No. Can I have this for Christmas? No.
What 3 words or phrases would you describe your experience with money growing up?
I almost died. I was a paper boy, and it was Sunday's paper, and they you get paid for how many houses you deliver, and it was Sunday, and I was going down a hill, and I couldn't stop. I overdid it. There was too many houses. It was bad.
Yeah, greed. That was all greed.
Ouch.
For you.
Yeah, I guess it was.
I spent it like it meant nothing to me. Every time I get money, I just spend it on things that I wanted.
Was it Pog?
Nope.
Baseball cards?
Nope.
What was it? Sega?
Nope.
Nintendo?
Nintendo.
Nintendo
was one.
Nintendo? Gotta get your Mario Brother fix.
Yeah. What was yours? If you were going to describe it, what would you describe it?
I think most people, if they're trying to get a 3-word phrase together, are going to relate things to what their parents or older people in their life has talked to them about money. And I'm guessing that's almost nothing.
Right.
I'm guessing most people aren't getting a lot of financial advice from people other than go to school, to get a good job so you can get out there and somehow get exactly what they have, which isn't what most people who are clicking on this video probably want to know. They want to know how to get to the next step.
Right.
And that. So don't use the 3-word phrase, I almost died, as your catchphrase.
Or out of control. That might be actually a good one.
I was in control. I was going down.
You were out of
very fast.
You were not only out of control on your bike, you were out of control of your money.
I was. I did.
It was controlling you.
I did buy Pog, and what else was big back then? Magic the Gathering.
Lots of candy.
Lots of candy. That was it. What was your experience with your parents, guardians, and money growing up?
Well, for mine, I grew up in middle class. I had a decent life, didn't want for much, but my parents never really talked about money. They would do their taxes and, once in a while balance their checkbook. Never taught me how to balance a checkbook. School actually did that, but
he's so sheltered.
It was. I was very sheltered. We went on vacations. I got the obligatory doesn't grow on trees, and we can't afford that when they didn't want me to buy something. Or
that was my experience. Yeah. That was every time. Do you know how much it cost me to send you there? Right. No, you can't have that. No, it was very bipolar. I mean, I had on one hand, my mom was relatively successful. On the other hand, my dad was living in a trailer. So you have this complete disparity of almost like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I mean, it was kind of like that.
Come to find out, that mindset and that thinking for kids is very toxic.
Very, because they grapple everything.
Do you guys agree? You guys went through similar things or different than we had?
We're getting at the 2 things that we see that most people have an issue with. And if you're going to fix a problem with your money mindset, you have to first attack the source of the problem. We're not going to attack your parents.
It's not necessarily their fault.
Yes, it's not their fault, because if you want to become successful, you want to be that 1%er who has what everybody else doesn't have, you got to do some pretty different things than what everybody else is doing. And if you're taking the advice from the
vast majority?
Yes. That's the word.
Vast majority.
So if you're taking your advice from the vast majority of people, chances are you're getting it from the wrong people. We have some advice there. You need a goal, and you need to find people who have what it is that you want. Legitimately, not the guy who's got like an $800 a month car payment is like, look at me, I got a fast car.
Or is leveraged up to their eyeballs in debt. Yeah. That's not the way to get what you want.
The people who actually have it don't flaunt it. So don't find somebody who's fake. You got to find somebody who's genuine, who actually has it, and latch onto that person. Get everything you can from that person. And I had a few people that I found in my life that were very helpful to me. And I'm very thankful that God brought them into my life and that they were able to teach me what they did. However, it was not easy. Right. I went through a lot of rejection personally just before I even found the guy who was worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, that didn't have any idea how to use a computer, drove a beat up car, and lived in a house that was very modest, very, very modest. Like most people wouldn't even know that he had that kind of money. But it took a lot of people telling me no. I had one guy that I remember saying, well, what do you think? I sent him my resume, and he was like, well, Tom, well, I don't see any reason why we should continue this conversation because I don't see anything here that would do more than fog up a window when he breathes into it. I'm like, what?
That's
serious?
rude.
Yeah, he was serious too.
Yeah.
Like he actually meant it. You have to be willing to deal with some rejection, but it is worth finding that person who has what you want. Now, when you get to that person, you also need to have that goal, and the goal cannot be one thing. It needs to transition beyond, I want this new car. You need to say, I want this new car, and...
Think bigger. Think lifestyle.
Yes.
What does your lifestyle look like 15 years from now? How if you had all the money you needed, what does that lifestyle look like? And that is where you start. You start to figure out, okay, if I do this now, that's going to get me on the road to this lifestyle.
And what would you say if somebody's like, I want to change the world and be Mother Teresa?
That's not specific enough.
Well, she did a lot of things specific.
You can, if that's the life you want. For me, it's not, I want to be Mother Teresa. I want to help others in such a need.
Father Brian?
Right. Forgive me, for I have sinned. I don't know. But yeah, it's really the lifestyle that you want to lead and not just a thing that you want to purchase. That all comes underneath that. And once you start to get the mindset from scarcity to abundance, that there is a lot of money out there that you can get and you are worthy and you can get it, you will start to go that way. That is your path now.
What is the one thing that started you on the path to changing those beliefs?
For me, was a friend. I got one of my first corporate jobs and making a measly 40 grand a year, which was a lot for a 20-year-old kid, right?
Yeah, but FICA loved you.
Yeah, FICA did. Low tax bracket. I didn't know a lot about that when I was there because nobody taught me about that. But I had a friend who was a high engineer, high grossing, drove a 3000 GT Spider.
So Brian worked in IT in like the 90s when IT was actually paid well.
It was the 90s. And he knew how to invest. He was pretty good with his money. And that is the person who was able to help me. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. And that got me to the mindset that, hey, I can make the kind of money that they have. Before that, it was, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I mean, these guys are just well beyond what I could ever do. Thanks to him for opening up his expenses and how to invest, I was able to do that. And hopefully you can find somebody like that as well.
That was probably pretty close to home for me too. The guy that mentored me in stocks specifically, I used to equate myself to, well, that guy has nicer stuff, so they must be better than me or whatever. If you've got that mindset, you need to stop. What you have and what your wealth is, how much stuff you have, has nothing to do with what value you have as a person. That's exactly what he told me, and I believe that today. So the one thing that changed that for me was separating myself when I pulled up next to a fancy car on the road, and my first car was a Geo Metro, a little 3-speed stick shift. The thing barely went 70 miles an hour.
1981 Citation.
So this car, I mean, I'd pull up next to these cars on the road, and there's this guy in his BMW or something, and I'm thinking, he's revving his engine. I'm like, and it would like stall on me. I'm like, oh, great. So I had to remember that my worth wasn't based on that thing.
Right.
And this guy who was mentoring me, he drove a car like that. He probably bought it brand new, he said, and this car had a lot of miles on it by the time that I met him, but it was an old car, and he was worth $350 million. You gotta separate yourself from where you're at today with where you could be tomorrow with the value that you have as a person. When I took that mentality, things started to change. But you got to do that, and it's going to take some realization of what is actually valuable in your life, and that might actually change some of your goals, and that's okay. You can have a goal, and it might morph along the way, but as long as you get to where your end destination is that you believe, you're good. And if you don't get there, that's okay. Just keep going.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim.
Right. Figure out what's important in life. What did you learn after getting out of it?
That it's never enough. I'm kidding. It's true though. I mean, the more money you have, it just always seems like you can never have more.
It's called
Or never
lifestyle
have enough.
creep.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that I've learned. One, what other people think doesn't matter. And as soon as I learned that, life got a lot easier. But the disparaging words that other people say doesn't matter. I don't care. And that helped. The second thing is your net worth is not tied to your self-worth.
Yes.
Like what you were saying.
Yeah. Money is a tool, not a measure of worth.
Right.
Now, I've heard it said in certain meetings where people are like, well, you know, how much money you have is your measure of contribution to society. Okay, tell that to a lottery winner. Like, what?
Right.
So that's not true. I would say that when I finally got out of that mentality, you know, I got around the people who actually had what I wanted, I started learning from them, and I got to the point where I was starting to change that path. I just learned that money is a tool. And this whole channel is to help you learn how to use those tools to become successful financially. Now, your goals might not be financial. My goals were a little different. I wanted to not have money control every single second of my life. I saw it happen to both my parents. Every time that they ever made a decision, money was the first thing they talked about. And I didn't want that to be me. It also controlled their time. I didn't want that to be me. We are hoping that if you follow us and this channel, that you will take some of this advice and get closer to where you want to be in your life with your goals.
And we want this for you. We want you to be able to free your mind from the negativity of the world around you and to be able to navigate it in a way that is healthy and beneficial towards you.
What was that kid's name in Matrix? There is no spoon. You just sounded just like that kid. There is no spoon.
Okay. Try instead to realize the truth. There is no spoon. And then you'll realize that it's only an extension of yourself.
I half expect Brian to say the cookies are done in the oven. I'm gonna go check to see if they are. Bye.